It is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That is brand new Skid Row from their latest EP called United World Rebellion Part 2. And that is called We Are the Damned. And I'll be damned, Chris, if we don't have the founding member of Skid Row. That's kind of a joke, Snake. We were listening to we were kind of listening to a interview you did with a girl named Natalie from Natalie's World.
Okay.
And she referred to you as the founding member, the Snake from Skid Row.
That's pretty funny.
So we got a little chuckle out of that. But how you doing,
man? Doing really well, man. Thank you very much. Thanks for playing a new song, too.
Sure. Well, Chris and I have been long-term Skid Row fans. I've spoken with you face-to-face on a few occasions over the years, and you've been on the show, and we've supported Skid Row through any transition that they've gone through, but both Chris and I think I could speak for Chris, is we're glad to see Skid Row is back to form and just doing straight-ahead rock.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. We had an amazing time making this last EP, and for me personally, it was the most fun I've ever had doing a Skid Row record. It's one of those things that everything that just everybody seemed in lockstep throughout the whole process, and from the moment we sat down and started writing songs to mastering the EP, it's just everything just felt so good, and we're really, really fortunate that we still get to do this for a living. It's pretty incredible, really. We're allowed to do this. It's just the fact that 28 years later we're still making music. It's pretty humbling.
Sure. Well, Snake, let's talk a little bit about not only this EP and the EP before it, but I just want to go back a little bit to try and get some perspective for where you guys were, because I don't think anybody, including yourself, would argue that Thick Skin and RPM were a very, I don't want to say very, I guess that's probably too much of a stretch, but they were a different sound from what people knew of Skid Row, and certainly it had to be with new singer and new drummers and blah, blah, blah in the band. But you guys really took on, maybe more of a punk influence than you ever did before, and more of a softer element than you did before as far as trying to adapt to the modern time. And now it seems like you've just said, you know what, it's time to go back to what made Skid Row Skid Row. Is that even remotely accurate? And why did you guys try to change before?
I don't know. I wouldn't say it's accurate simply because we've never ever written a record or written a song in order to adapt to it, whatever is currently going on. That's just where we are at that particular time in our lives. So it may have happened unconsciously, but it wasn't a conscious effort. We've never been one to chase trends or anything like that. We just write what we feel like writing, to be quite honest. It's always been that way from when we were writing the songs for the first record. It wasn't in order to get on the radio or to be a part of what's hip at that particular moment. It's never been like that. We just write what we feel, and it's always been very genuine, regardless of the outcome. It's always been from a very genuine place in our spirit where we come from, and our subject matter is derived from things that are affecting us at that particular time. We've always been that way. I don't know how else. I mean, I guess looking back, those records are different from what we've done, but it was just where we were at in that particular time.
Sure. Now with the new EP as well as the last EP, with the Rebellion records. Were those songs all written at once, or were they written at two different times, or how? I guess basically, and it's funny because I asked Philip Anselmo when I talked to him about you guys doing sort of the same thing that Down is doing, and obviously there's a relationship with you and Down. But when I talked to Philip, he said that even though they were doing EPs, that the ideas came at a at different times. They recorded one, then they went and they wrote a new one after for the second one. Is it the same with you guys, or did you guys have these songs already kind of plotted out and just are breaking them down for different releases?
No, we want to keep everything really fresh and have it maintain a sense of urgency. So we're doing everything one at a time. It's not like we wrote 15 songs. We're going to spread them across 3 EPs. We wrote the first EP, recorded it, went out on the road, got done touring on that, and wrote the second one, and recorded it. And now we're going to do the same thing with the third one. It just seems to us that there's a greater sense of immediacy when we do it that way, and keeps you very much focused in the moment.
Well, Snake, what is the premise behind the thought of doing 3 EPs? I mean, I know you just explained about being fresh and not writing a bunch of songs at once, etc. But why? What made you decide? At what point? I guess what I want to know is at the planning stages, what made you think to yourself, we're going to put out 3 EPs and they're going to contain X amount of songs each?
We felt that it just, in this day and age, that it was just, it made so much more sense to us. We're sensory overload, man, in this day and age. There's information hits you at the speed of light, man, from every direction. And it's difficult to disseminate through all of that. There's just so much music out there. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to sit there and put out, just enough amount of material that hopefully it doesn't overload the listener, and then it leaves them hopefully wanting more. And it also keeps it really fresh for us. We're in and out of the studio 2 weeks as opposed to 2 months. Keeps the cost down so we don't have to retail it for a high dollar amount, and it just makes it more economical on every end of it.
Well, what is your biggest outlet for new music, Snake? Because obviously, commercial terrestrial FM radio isn't going to be playing new Skid Row, unfortunately, and satellite radio is taking a big hit, financially, and people are into their iPods and whatever other outlets they have. So for a veteran band like Skid Row with almost a 30-year history, what is your biggest vehicle for getting your new music out there and heard by the fans?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, it's playing live is the way it's always been for us. We built our reputation upon our live show. We've always felt that we were underdogs, and we've maintained that sort of attitude since day one, and it just seems to fuel us. It works for us really well when we approach everything from that standpoint, and we always feel like there's a sense of urgency that goes along with that, and so it's live, and then it's being able to talk to people like you guys, and I mean, the internet is it's an amazing tool, man. And so you have access to the world at your fingertips, and you gotta be a great self promoter, and you just have to let people know that it's out there, and that's all you can do. You can't force anybody to listen to your music. It's just, if they want to listen to it, they're going to listen to it. You hope that you make a connection in some way by producing the best music that you can, and but at the end of the day, all you can do is your best from a writing perspective, and do your best to be a self-promoter. And after that, it's in the hands of the listener. And if they choose to like it and turn other people onto it, then so be it. That's great. That means that we've connected, and hopefully that'll be the case.
Right. Well, is touring still a profitable thing for Skid Row these days? Because just this year, we've heard of some disastrous tour packages that the promoters didn't have the money, or the show didn't go off very well, and it just appalling conditions for bands who are trying to get out there and still make a living, but in the end they somehow walk away with less money in their pockets than they had when they showed up at the show.
No, for us, it's always been it's been profitable. We're thankful for that people still want to see us, perform. We're very, very fortunate, and we're lucky. I don't know what to say. We're really lucky that it is profitable for us. And we go out. Every year we do well over 100 shows a year, and that's around the world. I mean, we've been to Europe once already this year, and at the end of last year, we're going back again in a couple weeks, and then we're going to go back again at the end of the year for like a month, or 6 weeks. So we make our way everywhere, and that's the way we've always done it. We've always been a band that has built and cemented their reputation on the live show. So for us, it still is profitable. Yeah.
Sure. Now, Snake, talking about the live shows, you've certainly played, thousands of shows at this point, and I'm always curious, and I can speak to one last week, every once in a while you catch a show that's just an absolute dud, and when you guys were here in Cleveland, there just was nobody there. I mean, it was just an empty room, sort of, which was surprising because I literally saw you a year before at the what was that place down in Akron, where there was like 3,000 people at the same show, for the same band, basically.
I know.
And then you come here, and more people got killed in Chicago that week than did in that came out to the show. But you guys still put on the same energy, whether there's 50 people or 3,000 people in the room. My question is, how do you, when you walk out there and you see a small crowd or a crowd that's less than you're used to or expect, how do you still find it in yourself to give the bigger show, the harder show, as much energy as you can, when clearly there's got to be some disappointment?
Oh, and you know what? It's really simple, is that I get to make and play music for a living. It's as simple as that. And so, I get to go up on stage and jam. So that in and of itself is inspiring enough for me. I don't have to work a real job. I'm doing for a living what I did when I was 15 years old. That's pretty insane. And I don't ever lose sight of that. And I also have always learned a long time ago that you play for the people that are there, not for the people that aren't there. And it's the most flattering thing and an ultimate compliment when people buy a ticket to come see you play. They could have done anything, and yet they decided to come see you play. And that's just, I can't devalue that by putting on a show that's less than what I'm capable of.
Right, definitely. Now, Snake, I want to go backwards just a little, not a little bit, a lot. Just because Neeley and I have always on the show, we have always said that Skid Row is one of those bands that just should have been bigger. You guys, it just seemed like for whatever reason, you guys always sort of had the right tours, and certainly you had the right music for the time, but it just never seemed like. It seems to me like your albums, especially Slave to the Grind and Subhuman Race, aged better than they were received when they were initially out. Not that they weren't received very well. Certainly Slave to the Grind was gigantic. But, do you feel like those records should have been bigger and maybe you guys should have been one of those, the Guns N' Roses type, had that same type of success at that time period because of the music you were creating?
No, honestly, no. I can't say that. I never looked at it in terms of that. And this, to me, what we get to do is not a birthright; it's a privilege. And so, I've always just been thankful for whatever has come our way. We work really hard for everything that we've attained, and. But I can't sit there and honestly say to you, like, yeah, we should have, or this should have been bigger. I just never saw it like that, and that's something completely foreign to me. So in answer to your question, no, and I never felt any of that. I've always been thankful for the people that we've been able to connect with, and that's the most important thing to me. And anything else is just conjecture, really. I tend to deal more in the reality of things.
Well, Snake, you work with Doc McGee and do things outside of Skid Row. What do you like better, doing the management type stuff, or do you enjoy still touring and playing?
Oh my gosh! I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a 60-year-old kid with a guitar on his shoulders, pretending he's Ace Frehley. I mean, that's what I am. I mean, I love working with other bands, especially bands that are friends of mine, like the guys in Down. And I've been managing them for like 9 years now, and I don't even look at it like that. I look at it as a guy who's helping his friends out so they don't get screwed. That's kind of the way I look at it. And it's been great. It's been a lot of fun, and it's really cool to be a small part of the success of something outside of Skid Row. To watch those guys do certain things that they've been able to achieve as a band has been really, really awesome to be, like I said, to be a small part of that. And I love doing that. And I love the idea of being able, to protect my friends from getting screwed over and bad business deals and whatnot. They know that they can trust me, and they know that I'm going to have their back every step of the way. All that being said, for me, the biggest payoff is still being able to play music and being able to create music.
Sure. Now, Snake, I want to ask you one that really doesn't have any. There's a slight Skid Row reference to this, but I'm just curious. We're friends with Phil Varone, and we like Phil a lot, but certainly that Waking Up Dead DVD that he did, 5-6 years ago, whatever it was a total eye opener to what goes on, on the road, or at least what was going on with him on the road. I'm curious what your take
what went on with him. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of my question. Is I'm curious what your take was, A, of that, what was going on with him, but B, how it really did kind of intertwine something that you built for 25 years. You guys kind of, it was no secret that he was out with Skid Row when all this stuff was going on. And in the DVD, that's kind of how it's portrayed. Were you guys upset about that? Or,
yeah,
what?
I thought it was gross, man. To be quite honest with you. I see, that's just a lifestyle I never cared for or partook in. I never did drugs. The worst thing I ever did was drink too much vodka and puke. And that's basically the extent of my shit. So to live that and see that, I just thought it was pretty gross and disgusting, to be honest with you. I don't have any empathy for that situation at all, because you have choices. You make choices in life, and that was the choice that he made. And I don't want to be a part of that or a party to it. So I guess the only thing I can say is I thought it was pretty gross.
Well, Snake, I'm going to ask for a little social commentary from you real quick, and we'll wrap this thing up. But we seem to be bombarded today with a lot of political correctness in society. Everybody's so afraid to offend anybody. And if they do, they're on this apology tour. I'm sorry for this, and I shouldn't have said that. And well, Skid Row has always kind of had the reputation as the bad boys of rock, and we don't give a fuck, and finger in your face, and we're the youth gone wild, as it were. What is your thoughts on today's environment, social commentary wise, and everybody being apologetic for voicing their thoughts?
I think we're far too apologetic. I think I'm right with you, man. I think we're far too apologetic. I think it's ridiculous. Where everyone's so worried about being offensive. I mean, my God, really? I don't know, man. I kind of always go back to comedians like Richard Pryor and George Carlin and Lenny Bruce and Eddie Murphy and those guys. They didn't give a shit, man. They were rebels, man. They, but they were also, they were our social commentators too, and very eye-opening, and they awakened us. And there's there's not very many people like that out there anymore. Although they still exist, and I applaud them. But yeah, I think that we've just become, as a society, far too apologetic, for sure.
So, in your thoughts, real quick, just to wrap it up, what do you think needs to take place in order to stop this shit?
I just think that people just need to be themselves, man. Fucking live life, live it like in an honest and truthful way. Stop just glad-handing. I hate it. I'd rather just do what I do with a good sound consciousness, and then have the chips fall where they may, as opposed to being so fearful. I can't live in fear. We live in our society. We live in fear now, man, to such a degree that it's makes you nauseous, man.
I agree with you, Snake. Well, Snake, we appreciate you taking some time to talk to us here on the Classic Metal Show. You're always welcome back anytime.
Thank you so much, guys. It was very kind of you to take time out of your day and to speak with me. And thanks for being so supportive of the band, too. We really appreciate it.
Sure. Well, the new EPs are called United World Rebellion Part 1, Part 2, Part 3 to be coming. Go check out Skid Row over at skidrow.com and go see them out on the road as they're relentless road warriors.
True.
And if you see Snake out there on the road, tell them you heard him here on the Classic Metal Show. So, Snake,
awesome.
I know you've been on the show before, but I don't remember if we've ever asked you our traditional Classic Metal Show question. So, how has Lemmy from Motorhead influenced your career?
He made me realize that in order to survive as long as he has, you have to make your body an undesirable place for germs to inhabit. And you do that by pickling yourself.
Nice. All right, Snake. Well, as I said, the new one is called United World Rebellion 2. So why don't you pick a song off of that, and we'll close out the interview with it, and tell us a quick story about it.
This is Zero Day, and it's something different for us. Rachel had this killer title. It's one of those songs where he goes, dude, how about a title for a song, 0 Day? And then we kind of looked up what it meant and then how it applied to us in a certain way. So we write a lot in metaphors, and this is certainly one of those songs, something that we're all very proud of.
Excellent. Well, here it is. This is brand new Skid Row with 0 Day exclusively here
on your Classic Metal Show.